Good afternoon. So finally, I've received my Nauticam housing for my LX10. For those of you who may have seen my review on the Icolite housing, really wasn't very impressed with it at all. Decided to send it back. Partly the housing and partly down to the service I was getting from backscatter. So yeah, I decided to upgrade to the Nauticam, and I decided to get the full set. So I think this is like $1,255 worth of underwater housing. But it does come in this quite handy carry case. It's got good protection. There's some foam inside here to help protect it. Just basic foam. There's even a zip in the top of the case here that allows you to take the foam out, I suppose. Maybe just for transport. I suppose it just depends how well you want to protect it, really. So we've got a vacuum pump here, which came as part of the deal. Not really too interested about that now. Various bits of packaging, of course. And then this. Isn't this beautiful? Okay, so as you can see, I didn't just go for the housing. I went for the arms as well. I believe this is called the multi-flex tray. Forgive me if that's not correct, but obviously you can take off various pieces here depending on your needs. But I was thinking that long term I would probably go for dual strobes, etc. But just to have it for convenience sake. So it's a very nice piece of kit. It's very well built. It feels good. It feels very fitted, very ergonomic around my hands. Very nice clear displays here on the back, and obviously the various dials and buttons that we'll cover in a moment. So let's open her up, and as you may have seen if you saw my Nauticam review, one of the reasons I decided to do this was that I looked quite extensively online to find these housings and what they look like and how they function inside, and I couldn't find anything anywhere about the insides of these cameras and exactly how they worked. And you can probably see from this one is that this is a lot more complex, shall we say, than the Icolite housing. The Nauticam really has everything in here. You just slide the camera in. The one thing I really didn't like about the Nauticam, the one thing I didn't like about the Icolite housing was that you needed to add a tray and add a cog at the front, and I'll be honest, I just couldn't be dealing with all that. This one, yes, you need to put the camera into f11, which has a nice guide here to show you that, so you can move this around should you need to. So the camera does need to be set in f11, so this control ring around the outside, so you've got this control ring and the dial at the front as well, so it's the control ring that needs to be set on f11. And then obviously I can go ahead and install this. Now before I do this, I probably will do it now. There's a battery here for the moisture sensor that comes with this as standard, something else that you don't get with the Icolite housing. So on the back of this rather swanky case, you get a bag of goodies, obviously a fairly simple instruction manual, which of course I've read in depth. Again, this is kind of the things you get for just buying quality gear. You get a set of Allen keys, so you can adjust everything. Didn't get this with the Icolite housing, although there weren't as many, nowhere near as many Allen keys needed. And then in here we also have a battery, various O-rings that I have to find out exactly where they go. Of course, a pot of silicone grease. These are like caps for the optical ports at the front. If you're not using a strobe, obviously you wouldn't need those. So let's take the battery out. There's even a little pick here, which I'm assuming is for getting the battery out when it runs out. So let's do the installation of the battery without reading the manual. Sensible boys and girls. Yeah, it's fairly straightforward, guys. That just pushes in there. And then I've got a little blue flashing light up here when I turn it on. Yeah, I'll be honest, I have no idea what that does, but I know it's a moisture sensor, but what the blue light means, I do not know at this point. So you can see various other goings on in here. Obviously everything links up to the camera, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and put this in here now and see how easy it is to install. Just slide it in. I think that's probably in. Let's have a look. Yes, it is. Wow, that's really simple. So just slide straight in there, ladies and gentlemen. And then I think this is a fairly standard Nauticam locking mechanism, which is, as I read, is very, very reliable, very secure. That's it. That's as simple as this is with the Nauticam housing. It's very, very straightforward. So let's turn it on. Maybe not as simple. So something not connected up there, right? Because it won't allow me to turn the camera on. Ah, okay. So the little connector needs to be over the top. That's why. So this little connector here, the on-off switch goes in between rather than in front or behind. Simple as. This is what you get when you don't read the manual, you see. So, excuse me, reconnect that. I'm always reluctant to take these things off, I'm afraid. It's a little bit sad, I know, but I'm going to leave that on there for now, which might disrupt your view a little bit. So, on off. So this should be firing up right now. And then the other thing I love about this is well, actually, to be honest, the Icolite came with a lens cap as well, but this is a much nicer one, the kind you would find on a DSLR or something like that. So obviously nice protection for the lens here. So you can see here, yep, standard, straightforward enough. All the controls here. The other thing I like about this one is that you can put the flash away with this button here and release the flash with this button here. So this shuts it away, this one releases it. The only function that's not available on the Icolite housing. Other than that, the functions available are the same. So the problem I was having before was the mode button here. So let's see how this works. Solid. You turn the mode button, the mode changes. You would imagine that's a fairly simple thing, but with the Icolite that wasn't happening. So that's obviously good. And obviously how I've got this set up here now, you've got the trigger here, the finger trigger here, which then pushes down the shutter button. So obviously, of course, if you just had the Nauticam housing, excuse me, and didn't have the handles, of course you just use the shutter button here, which, as I understand, is a nice two-stage shutter. Yeah, feels very. Yeah, it's very easy to do the focus and then continue to press to secure the picture itself. So we've got a video button here for immediate video. As I say, all the functions are available. The functions that are available on the camera are also available on the housing. This is for the control ring at the back, so that gives you full control here. And then obviously the zoom control ring at the side here, which is a very, very nice motion, nice and easy to control when you've got both hands on these handles. And I'm sure if you had it in your hand, it would be just as straightforward and just as easy. Again, nice area here to rest your thumb. It's quite not, excuse me, it's quite nice to hold if you didn't have the handles. So it's got a nice feel to it. And of course, there's another ring here. This is the one that controls your aperture. Of course, this is the one that on the Icolite housing was a bit finicky. So again, a very nice feel to this. All the functions available on the back here, nice and clearly displayed as in terms of what each one does. So on the whole, very, very happy. So I think what I'll do now, I'll just pop this back on here and just see what else we've got with in this little bag here. I already mentioned the silicone. the battery that I spoke to you about. There's installation instructions here. Yep, straightforward enough, guys. Information about the shutter extension, installation and adjustment. My service agreement. Yeah, so pretty much everything I've spoken about, including these spare O-rings, which I have to find a use for. So, as I mentioned earlier on, this comes with a vacuum pump, which is what attaches onto here. And then you get a little key. So this obviously is where you'd attach the vacuum pump initially onto this area here. But if you want to take this off altogether, this little tool here is there, so you can just unscrew that and remove it completely, obviously, and use it as you wish. Yeah, I think that's all I can cover with you, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully it gives you a bit more information and you can get a better idea of what's inside this beast. It is an expensive purchase. Right now, I'm pretty happy that I bought this. It is a lot more expensive, I get that. But I think the Icolite would have, quite frankly, driven me crazy having to install that cog and the tray on the bottom of the camera each time I wanted to install it. A lot more complicated in here, of course, as I mentioned earlier on. There's a lot more stuff going on in this for sure. But that means you don't have to attach the ring and everything else that you would have had to do with the Icolite. So, yeah, if you want to subscribe, please go ahead and do so. Any comments on the video? I really welcome your feedback. I'm fairly new to this reviewing stuff. So, yeah, hopefully that helps. And take care and see you soon. Bye.